Alrighty, so in this video, we're going to actually make use of our bindAbilityInputs function and test and confirm that it is working. So to do so, we're going to utilize our main module of the project. So that way we can, do our stuff in our character, as you recall from the previous video. But in order to do so, we need to go to our build.cs and add it as a dependency. So I'm going to clean this up a bit in the way that I like it, like so. And let's add our Ability System Core module. Okay, now that we have that, we can go to our tutorial character, and here's where we want to actually make use and set up a property for our data asset. So it's going to be our T object pointer of U input ability system data asset. And we're going to call this one ability data, or ability inputs data asset. I think that'll be a sufficient name. Now we're going to want to go ahead and forward declare. So let's forward declare at the top of our class, and we are ready to go and use it. Cool. Let's head over to our .cpp, find our setup player inputs function, and we're going to, I want to clean this up a little bit. I don't know why there are some weird inconsistencies with some of Epic's stuff. So these are related, and I want to have a new section down here. I'm going to discard the else, and actually I'm just going to get rid of, because I want to know if it is incorrect. So we're going to remove any of the if-else logic. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the type of the enhanced input component to our type of ability system enhanced input component. So that way we can make use of our stuff. So we're going to just change the cast, and it's going to want us to include it. So we're going to include at the top here our components, ability system, enhance input component.h. So once we have that, we're going to want to do a check, because I've already forgotten in multiple cases of actually switching the project settings to use said enhanced input component. So we're going to check and then confirm that the enhanced input component is valid. And if it's not, we're just going to say ability system enhanced input component is likely not set in project settings. Okay, and from here we can utilize our bind function. So we can call our bind ability inputs, and we want to pass in that tag, or sorry, not the tag, the data asset that we created here in our header. So ability inputs data asset, that's going to be the object, which is this. And here we have our pressed and released functions that we want to pass in. So we need to actually make those. So it's basically, you're going to be calling it such as this, but the only difference is they are going to require a gameplay tag as a parameter. So in our header, we're going to create two new functions. It's going to do void OnAbilityInputPressed. It's going to take in a f gameplay tag, and I'm just going to call it tag as the name. We're going to copy and paste, and this one's going to be OnAbilityInputReleased. Now we also need to include the gameplay tag, which I believe it actually already did. Maybe it didn't. So in our build.cs, I'm going to add another dependency of gameplay tags, just like we did to our ability system core. And in the header, I'm going to include the gameplay, if I can spell, tag container.h. So that way it'll satisfy all this. So now we can create our definitions, and writer is processing all that stuff. There we go. So we can create our definitions, and I'm going to move them down below our input component. Keep it simple. And these are what we're going to want to call. So bindAbilityInputs, the pressed function is going to be our OnAbilityInputPressed. So a gas tutorial character OnAbilityInputPressed, like so. And then we need our released. So same thing, a gas tutorial character OnAbilityInputReleased. So anytime that we say press the the input action, that would have ability.input.jump, whatever I said before, I can't remember, it is going to fire off this function here. Whenever we release that key, it is going to fire off this function. So you can kind of see where I'm going with it. So now we're just going to set up a log here. So we're going to do OnAbilityInputPressed, and we're going to print out the tag. So tag, there should be something about a tag. Yeah, get tag name, and convert that to a string. Do the exact same thing for OnAbilityInputReleased, like so, and let's give it a try. Alrighty, so back in our project here, let's go to our third person character, and I'm going to go ahead and delete these guys. Okay, so here in our blueprint, I'm just going to create a new data asset. It's going to basically be the same as the old one, so it's going to be the ability system data asset da underscore ability inputs. Open that on up, and we're just going to create a new one for jump, which we don't have, so we need to create a new entry for a gameplay tag. So I'm just going to go miscellaneous data table, and the type's going to be the gameplay tag table row, just to make it simple. So data table underscore ability input tags. Again, you can create this however you wish. I'm just making it simple. So ability dot input dot jump. That's going to be the tag. We're going to save it. Go to our project settings, maps and modes, gameplay tags, gameplay tag table list, and add that data table. Go ahead and save. And then under input tag, we have the ability input jump. So that's what we're going to save. All right. On our character, we should have what category was this under? Input. So if we search for input, we have our data asset option here, so we can select it, compile, save, and we should be good to go to test it. So let's go ahead and hit play. And I believe I forgot to set in the project settings, didn't I? Yeah, so literally, like I figured. So ability system enhanced input component is likely not set in project settings. This is why I make assertions, because otherwise, I mean, you still would be able to figure it out, but this just makes it a lot more clear, I guess you could say. So let's go ahead and run it again. And this actually just occurred to me. Because of this, we should also really have our check for the data asset being valid, just to make it a little bit quicker to pop up and know where it is. Right here with the check for the enhanced input component. But regardless, that's something we should be able to find. Anyways, back to project settings, input, default input component class, ability system enhanced input component. Now we save and we hit play. Okay, so I'm going to press space on ability input pressed, ability.input.jump, and release space on ability input pressed, ability input.jump. Yeah, I goofed somewhere. Okay, so on ability input pressed and released. So those are being set, but why is it? Yeah, probably because on completed, I forgot to change it. So this should be released function callback. So we're going to change that, close it down, and I'm going to actually go ahead and use this as an excuse to move the check assertion to our character, like so. So this way we know if we do not set the inputs data asset, we will know exactly what class we forgot to set it on when we try to use it. And we can make that judgment call of, well, not the judgment call, we can actually go through and fix it. All right. So now I press it down on ability input pressed. I release it on ability input released. So we now are good to go. So that is, quite honestly, most of the hard stuff actually done. The only other, you could say, semi-difficult part is going to be with the activating of basically the ability itself. But even that's quite simple, because all we really do is just parse over basically any granted ability to see if we have a tag that matches. If we do, we try to activate it. If we don't, well, we just don't do anything. It's really quite simple. And likewise, the on input released is very much the same thing in that it is going to just iterate over our active abilities instead of our granted abilities. And if we find a match, we call an event. If not, well, we do nothing. So it's really pretty simple, and I will see you then.